Hi guys, I'm Otto now. Someone actually asked me how to choose a prawning rod. So there's no rocket science to it if you are just fishing for leisure. But if you go to any reputable hacker shop selling prawning rod, they actually ask you where actually prawning. Because the place that you prawn, right, let's say you are fishing at a very, very big pond, not very big pond, then you need a longer rod. And you're short, small pond, of course you need a shorter rod. And if you're fishing the edges, right, the edge of the pond, right, you actually don't need a very long rod. There are instances where I was fishing at a relatively small pond, right, then this guy at the opposite end is actually using a very, very long rod. Then I found out that he's actually fishing right in front of me. His spot is right in front of me while he's at the other end. So if you're actually fishing at a big pond, a long rod, small pond, short rod, and the kind of prawning you are doing. Now the next thing is they'll ask is what kind of prawn are you targeting, or what's your target? In Taiwan, right, they actually distinguish and differentiate between the female prawn and the male prawn. Because for the female prawn, right, that means the prawn having the female prawns, right, those female prawns, right, are actually much smaller than the male ones, while the male one, right, will be very big. So for the big prawns, right, they are actually the biggest, one of the biggest size prawn you can actually find. So they can be quite heavy, up to half a kilograms. So in that case, right, you naturally need a stiffer rod. And also, right, it depends on your terminal tackle. If your terminal tackle, right, let's say you are using Tianping or the balance, having a two hooks set up, right, then of course your terminal tackle will be much heavier and you'll need a stiffer rod. So that's about it. Now, to give an example, right, this is a prawning rod I bought from Taiwan. So if you're into fishing, right, rods come in two things you have to consider, which is the power and the action. Now, the power of the rod, right, means that the stiffness or flexibility, how much force it needs to actually flex the rod. So for prawning rod, right, they are actually in the ultralight class because the things that you target are quite light compared to fishing. So and the action, right, it comes into play more for prawning rod. So giving this example, right, this is a very good example of the all-rounder rod, which is a jack of all trades. Now this one, right, this one means, right, it can change from 2.8 and 1.9. So to explain what is 2.8, 1.9, right, is talking about the action. So you split the rod into 10 parts, right? So only a 2.8 means the two will flex. The 2 out of 10 parts will flex, while the 8 parts will remain stiff. We call this part, right, in fishing the backbone. The backbone actually don't change that much, and call it this is considered still fast action, but we call it, compared to the 1.9, right, this will be a medium action. So this one is this will be a very fast action. So 1.9, right, means only you split the rod line into 10 parts, right, only the first part will actually flex. So this is very fast action. And it matters between a fast action and very fast action rod when you are fishing, let's say a yabby, which is much heavier, because, right, if it's a very flexible rod, right, so when the yabby actually fight, right, it will pull, then you will take very long time, right, to actually go back into position for the rod. And at that moment, right, there's no tension on the yabby, and if the hookup is not secured, right, then the hook will drop and you lose the yabby because it's much heavier. While for the slow action, right, it actually matters if you are using very, very slim line, a main line, because the slow action actually cushion the force. So if you're using braided line, right, which have no elasticity, right, which cannot cushion the impact, right, it may actually break, because at a moment of time, right, when they are fighting, they are trying to get away or escape, right, the force will exceed the the strength of the line and it breaks. Now the good thing about why is it a jack of all trades is zoom. They call it this is a buzzword or marketing terms in the prawning rod, zoom. That means what, you can change between 4 feet, 5 feet, and 6 feet. So I can adjust accordingly based on the pawn that I'm doing. And last thing is just some marketing talk that it can change color. So let's open it up and see how it looks like. So in this rod, right, it looks like this. I've used it quite a few times already. So it comes with a counterweight. This is a counterweight. Most of the professional rods, right, actually comes with a counterweight. So when you put it in place, right, when you're parking a rod, right, so it's in. So the top part will not drop down because there's a weight behind. Some people say that when they flip the rod, right, it's actually smoother because there's a counterweight and there's a balance. But it's bullshit because it's quite light and I've been holding fishing rod for quite long. Then it's not really tiring. So so it comes like this, and it actually labels, right, 6. So it have a 6, 5, and 4, which represent how long you want the rod to be. So there's some friction here resistance, so you can stop at a point there. So what else, right, is in the bag, right, is this extra tip. So it's the extra tip which you can change between the 1/9 and the 2/8. And this is, and so this part, right, is the counterweight, the normal counterweight. It's just a stopper. It's not a counterweight at all. It's just a plastic piece. If you don't want to use the counterweight because you feel that this extra few grams, right, will actually make your hand too tired. So that's all for the introduction of the rods. Maybe you want to compare, to summarize everything, right? If you're choosing a rod, it depends. You want to know what's the point, what kind of fishing you do. So you want to see how long your rod can be, or how short your rod can be, and the kind of fishing that you want to do. If you're doing something that has more weight in front, like painting or something, right, then of course you need a stiffer rod. And if you're fishing very light lines, right, use a thinner, lighter rod. That's all for today. I hope it's informative. Any question, you can just post in the comments and I'll find time to answer them. So next, I think I should do on the Terminal Packer next, because compared to between the professional one and the basic one, or even the house rod, because I don't think the rod actually makes much of a difference. I have been using Daiso rod quite often, so because I don't want to say what kind of rod you should use, and people usually blame the packer they use, but I do think the Terminal Packer is most of the part compared to the rod that you use. So that's all for the video today. I hope this has been informative to you, and the New Year's coming, and also Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. Goodbye.